Hello everybody and welcome to the Online Sociologist. My name is Ryan. Today's question is a big one, and that question is, what is sociology? That concept should be simple, right? It's part of the title of this channel. Also, it's probably the title of the course you're in as well as the textbook. However, coming at this definition of sociology isn't as simple as it seems, and once delved into can create even more questions. To start our journey in attempting to learning the meaning of sociology, we can open up a textbook or better yet, go to Google. If you do that, one of a number of definitions might show up. The sociologist Dalton Conley's textbook, you may ask yourself, simply defines sociology as the study of human society. A free-to-use Introduction to Sociology textbook produced by OpenStax defines sociology as, quote, the study of groups and group interactions, societies, and social interactions, from small and personal groups to very large groups. The American Sociological Association, or ASA, which is the largest association of sociologists in the world, defines sociology as the following, quote, the study of social life, social change, and the social consequences of human behavior. Sociologists investigate the structure of groups, organizations, and societies, and how people interact with these contexts, unquote. So what we see here is definitions that are not only different, but definitions that become increasingly complex. In fact, the American Sociological Association's definition has numerous terms within it that are going to be subjects of later episodes of this channel. Leaving aside the notion of complexity, though, why are these definitions different? According to the authors of Penguin's Dictionary of Sociology, it is because of the fact that sociology is both a modern discipline and contains a diversity of perspectives. While many trace the systematic study of human societies back to the 14th century Arab scholar Ibn Khaldun, sociology as an academic discipline didn't really begin until after the French Revolution in the early 19th century. And it was with the theories of the French scholar Auguste Comte that really solidified sociology. His focus was studying human society in a systematic and scientific way. Now, Comte isn't only credited with coining the term sociology, but positioned the early discipline as a science that comes after all others. In other words, Comte saw sociology as the final science, and whose role it was to coordinate all other forms of existing knowledge. While many still debate whether or not sociology can be considered a science, and many more debate the validity of Comte's ideas in general, this perspective showcases something really important about sociology. That it's not only modern, but that it's broad in general, as it must work to encompass all other forms of knowledge. More than that, sociology's broad scope and general nature isn't something to be disdained, but instead something that should be valued. It should be noted that sociology isn't just broad in general because, as Comte notes, it encompasses all other forms of knowledge, but mainly because anything can be studied sociologically. Why? Because to sociologists, everything is a product of social relationships. In fact, the American Sociological Association currently has 52 officially recognized sections, which can be defined as subtopics of sociology. Some sections include aging and the life course, crime, law, and deviance, economic sociology, the family, inequality, poverty, and mobility, race, gender, and class, science, knowledge, and technology, the sociology of education, the sociology of religion, the sociology of sex and gender, among many more. In addition, all you have to do is just flip through an Introduction to Sociology textbook to see the wide variety of topics covered in its pages. Even what we think of as outside of the human realm can be studied sociologically. Let's take trees, for example. First off, trees, as well as other plant matter, provides the oxygen needed for humans to survive. Outside of that physiological need, however, trees are shaped by and shape humans and their interactions. While trees can grow and flourish outside of human interaction, the word and the meaning of trees is something that was created by humans. Furthermore, humans have certain uses for trees. Wood has been one of the primary forms of fuel for human societies for thousands of years. Wood is also made to use innumerable objects. Based on its uses, human societies can favor some types of trees over others, especially in terms of the planting of these types of trees and cutting them down over other types of trees. Trees are also the key ingredient in the ways in which humans landscape nature. Trees are strategically placed in parks, gardens, and lawns as a way to increase the aesthetic value or beauty of those places. Furthermore, social problems have arisen around trees. Deforestation has been an issue for hundreds if not thousands of years. In fact, so many people were using wood to heat their home in 16th century Britain that British forests were clear-cut and the population was forced to switch to heating their homes with coal due to the scarcity of wood. In Richard Grove's historical study, Green Imperialism, he looks at the massive deforestation in the early modern period as European nations colonized the Western Hemisphere. Grove argues that this process not only deepened colonization through the decimation of environments, indigenous people, as well as the knowledge of those indigenous people, but it also brought forth modern notions of conservation and environmentalism. If we look at William Cronin's book, Nature's Metropolis, about the late 19th century rise of Chicago, we see a process that linked urbanization, the railroad, and the vast deforestation of surrounding regions through a rapidly expanding timber industry. Furthermore, in our present era, we are witnessing extreme examples of deforestation, not so much for the wood, but instead to clear forests for other uses, whether it be to make way for new farmland or pastures in the Amazon, or as a byproduct of mountaintop removal mining in the Appalachian region of the United States. Deforestation has become a huge concern throughout our world today. So to sum this up, even what we think of as outside of human society, such as trees or other plant matter, is inextricably linked to us, thus a subject for sociological analysis. Now, it isn't only the topics that sociologists study that are broad in general, but also how sociologists position their studies in terms of their theory. Theories can be defined as a set of ideas and worldview that shape how we define something. Some sociologists identify themselves as functionalists, meaning they see society as a series of interrelating parts, each one working together to create the whole. Others see the shape and nature of society as structured through different sets of conflicts between groups and the unequal power relations defining their interaction. Others define society through small-scale interactions and the symbolic meaning that result from them. Some sociologists study society through its historical development, while others see it in relationship to other societies. Some sociologists study society based on categories as an explanation of how society is organized, developed, and transformed. While there are innumerable categories that can be studied, the big three are race, class, and gender. And still, there are some sociologists that structure their studies based on the denial of theory altogether. Sociologists are also diverse in the ways in which they conduct studies. Some sociologists create studies by interviewing individuals and observing them in their everyday lives. Others create surveys that they send out to hundreds, sometimes thousands of people in order to gauge a more general feeling on a topic. Others create controlled experiments, while others study historical cases and compare them to others. On top of that, sociologists regularly merge their studies with other academic disciplines, such as geography, economics, political science, psychology, anthropology, history, biology, environmental science, and many more. In all, sociology is broad and general in its topics, how those topics are looked at, as well as how studies are carried out. I want to end this video by talking about how I define sociology and the value that I find in it. Before I do so, however, I want to note that developing this definition is extremely difficult. Not only because of the term's broadness and generality, but because sociology is a capstone definition that defines a whole body of knowledge that this channel is dedicated to learning more about. In other words, this is a video that should be last in the series, not first, as it is a definition that will undoubtedly change as we delve deeper and deeper into the wide variety of concepts, theories, methods, and theorists making up the discipline of sociology. That said, as of now, I am defining sociology as the study of social relationships between two or more people and how those relationships are solidified through the creation of meaning and organization of larger groups, institutions, structures, and an overall society. Moreover, sociology is how those formations transform throughout history through their interactions. Now, the purpose of sociology for me are multiple. First and foremost, sociology provides us a mental framework for viewing the world through numerous lenses, whether they be small scale, large scale, or a combination of both. Sociology also provides us tools to examine our lived lives and how they are organized into larger societies. It pushes us to examine our preconceived beliefs and biases and allows us to see how such mental frameworks are products of long-term social interactions. It forces us to take a deep look in terms of how our world is organized and the inequalities that stem from that organization. More than simply looking at the way the world is, sociology provides us a guiding light in creating a new and better world for us all. I want to thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content related to the world of sociology and how it can be used not only in the classroom, but in your everyday lives. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.